Welcome into the Gridiron Grind, a college football podcast, episode 8 on the season. Jimmy, what a terrible, terrible weekend of football for us. Longhorns blow the Red River game to OU. Arkansas hung around with Ole Miss, lost. Cowboys got shredded. Our good buddy Blake had a close one. Almost lost their undefeated season, but they won. So Friday started good.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing good that came out this weekend, the Rangers looked great. But when it comes to football, Jimmy, that was a terrible, terrible weekend.
Yeah, Friday was good because they won, but they didn't cover the spread. Blake and them didn't. So Arkansas covered the spread, didn't win.
They did.
I mean, I don't know. Like you said, man, it was not good all around. So see, like I lost money on Blake's team, but then I just broke even. I could never get ahead, broke even there with the Hogs and the other stuff going on the weekend. I think I ended up right at even.
Jimmy,
don't think I ended up up.
I was spectacular outside of one game. The only problem is I had like 6 different picks on one game.
Mm-hmm.
And I went 2-4 in that one game. And man, I thought, and we'll get into it. I had a lot of questions. A lot of people chirped me, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I felt like I was dialed into that game and I knew how it was going to go. And I was wrong. Admit it. Hand up. Admit it. Well, I mean, we got 2 questions about it today. We'll talk about it. I guess we'll get into it. We'll do a little Red River wrap up. It's a sneaky good week of college football games, by the way. We got some good ones on the schedule, but we'll do a little Red River wrap up. The difference in the game, a couple things, but the red zone was the main difference. Oklahoma had 6 trips in the red zone. They scored all 6 times. My brother Casey pointed out Oklahoma scores a touchdown on their first possession of the first half, a field goal to end the half, and then they got the ball to start the second half, touchdown on their first possession of the second half, another touchdown to end the game, which won the game. So, how they started and finished each half, they were 4 for 4, but they were 6 for 6 in the red zone. Texas, 3 trips, only 3 trips in the red zone, 1 for 3. They had an interception.
Yikes.
Their first trip was an interception. Their second trip was a field goal. They could have been a touchdown. They inside the 10, and they at their last possession of the first half, they settled for a field goal. And then, of course, the big goal line stand. That was stood out. That's what everybody's talking about. It's 4th and goal.
Yeah.
You got it from the 1-yard line. Big run from Jonathan Brooks. You get it all the way down to the 1. You try to run it 3 times in a row. Oklahoma stuff and then try to throw a quick pass outside, and Worthy gets stuck at the 1-inch line. He was short. But that's what everybody talks about. Dylan Gabriel, passing-wise, he had his moments for sure. He ended up second half, after the opening drive started the second half, he was like below 50% of his passes. Well, actually, the first drive of the second half and the last drive of the second half, he was on fire. But in the 3 possessions in between that, he was below 50%. Texas had kind of found a rhythm on defense. But his running was unbelievable. He had 113 yards on the ground. But if you would have told me where I got this game completely wrong is I thought Texas had the advantage on the line of scrimmage, Jimmy, and Oklahoma won the line of scrimmage. And here's the stat that tells it. Texas had 1 sack and 5 tackles for a loss. Oklahoma had 5 sacks and 10 tackles for a loss. I couldn't believe it. Credit to Oklahoma. I'm still convinced overall, and even Vegas has said this already, that if the Big 12 championship, as of right now, Texas would be favored again. But if they played 10 times, I think Texas would win more than Oklahoma would. But on Saturday, the day that mattered, Oklahoma was better. They deserved to win. And I'm really kind of stunned that I'm even having to say that, because I didn't think that was the case heading into the game.
Man, I didn't either. I tell you what I saw from Oklahoma so far this season and what I saw from Texas, I didn't think this game was going to be close. Texas's defense looked elite. The line of scrimmage, like you said, was the most glaring thing for me as well. Oklahoma, Oklahoma's defensive line and offensive line. I mean, it baffled me, man.
Yes.
I could not figure out where this team had been all year. Of course, it's a rivalry game, big time game, like we talked about. They won, everybody always plays their best, and like we said in the past, there's and this kind of goes back to the year. What we said is there's been years where seemingly one team shouldn't even be on the same field, and that team ends up winning. And to me, that's what happened. Was coming into it, this had Texas all over it. Vegas thought so. Everybody thought so, unless you were Sooners fan. And Oklahoma just came out and played their best game of the year. And the goal line stand, I thought Texas has got this. Like you
Yeah.
said, who was it? Was it Sanders got down to the one, and then they
No,
ran
it
it?
was Brooks, the running back.
Brooks.
Sanders didn't really provide much. He was obviously hurt. He was
Mhm.
battling that high ankle sprain from the week before. He didn't really give Texas much.
Yeah, Brooks gets down there and then trying to get in, can't get in, and then I just, that one hurt, man. And then I thought they'd find a way to pull it out in the end. I thought, okay, we're going, here we go, and then
I did too.
it dropped.
The
I
goal
could
line
not
stand,
believe how well OU's defense looked.
the goal line stand, because that was a touchdown that
Mm-hmm.
Texas would have went up a touchdown. They got nothing out of that drive. I mean, that would have put them up. And then a lot of people were talking about Sark's decision when Oklahoma was out of timeouts and they took a sack on first down when Texas had the ball. They got the ball back like 4.5 minutes to go, and the game's tied. They stopped OU. OU, I believe, missed on a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so Texas gets the ball back, like 60 or 70 yards to go with 4.5 minutes to go, and the game's tied. And he goes, hurry up, right out the gate. Like 2-3 first downs in a row. He's running hurry up. And people, I'm kind of like, I don't understand. And he said he wanted to get some rhythm, momentum. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I wanted this to be the last possession. He said, well, Sark said that he did, but I don't understand why he went hurry up. So he gets down there and he gets down inside the 40-yard line, and there's tons of time left. Oklahoma, I think, had 2 timeouts left. And then Texas takes a sack. Oklahoma calls a timeout, and then he runs a pass play. I think Oklahoma takes another timeout. So now it's 3rd down and like 12 or 3rd and 9. And instead of trying to go for it and get the first down, because then Oklahoma was out of timeouts, you get that first down, you're not giving Oklahoma the ball back. If you don't get it, then you can make your decision on 4th down. Do I go for it? Do I kick the field goal? What do I want to do? But 3rd and 9, instead of trying to go for the first down, he just ran the ball up the middle. And Sark's explanation was, well, I knew we needed 5 yards to feel comfortable for a field goal, so I wanted to make sure we at least had that. And the people are criticizing for that decision because if you go for the first down on 3rd and 9, even if you check down or Ewers scrambles, he could get 4 or 5 and you could kick that field goal. So Sark's taking a little bite for that because if Texas would have got the first down, Oklahoma doesn't get the ball back. You kick the game-winning field goal. Because it was 1:20 left. Because then Auburn kicks the field goal, and then OU gets the ball with like 1:10 left. And of course, Texas runs the prevent defense, and Gabriel just dices them up. 5 for 5, ran 5 plays. Well, one of them was pass interference, but they ran 5 plays, and from the 25-yard line, I mean, they averaged basically 20 yards a play. It was like a knife through a stick of hot melted butter, and that throws a touchdown at the end of the game to win the game. So hats off to OU. This one, I'm excited to see this one, hopefully again. Vegas, I was listening to a podcast, they said they'd put out the same line again. Texas would be favored by 4, 4.5, 5 points. Texas outgained them by almost 100 yards. Quinn Ewers, he threw his interception on his first 2 possessions. After that, he was 26 of 28 for 363 yards. I mean, once he got into a rhythm, he diced them up. Texas had a lot of injuries. I don't want to make excuses. They had 3 offensive linemen banged up. The center came out in the first quarter. Their backup center was already out for the game. Starting tight end was hurt. Starting corner didn't play. Jalen Catalon, starting safety, he only played not even the first half. He just got a little banged up. I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma deserved to win that game, but I just don't know if I was that wrong overall. I was wrong on Saturday, but I like to think if Texas got them again, I think Texas would be favored. And I think they would win the game. Texas is still a really good football team, and they didn't play their best game. And I think Oklahoma played close to a perfect game.
Yeah, it's seemingly so. And that was kind of you and I talked off the air. You know, we always talk about nightmare scenarios and okay, what's the nightmare scenario? And that's what we both said is OU plays a perfect game and beats Texas, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
And yeah, I
Texas turnovers, 3 turnovers to
couldn't
nothing,
believe it. Mhm.
hurt you. So
Hard
I
to
don't know.
win when you lose the turnover column. And then insult to injury for you. You know, the DPS signs here in Texas that
Yes,
they have the Amber Alerts and all that.
yes,
And then Texas OU, they always have funny stuff, you
yes.
know. In Oklahoma, I saw electric billboards. I don't know if it's their DPS ones or not, but maroon background with the upside down, the horns down logo. I just thought, man, thought it was cool. The states both get into it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a
But
big deal. Even I
yeah,
mean,
oh yeah.
it was a great game. If you didn't weren't cheering for a team, well, if you're
Hmm.
cheering for Oklahoma, you thought it was a great game either way. But just a college football fan, it was a great game. I thought both teams, you could tell both teams are elite. I don't know if both teams will make the college football playoff. I mean, Oklahoma's got the inside track now, but if these two teams went out, they played for the Big 12 championship. Who knows what's going to happen as far as how it plays out. Obviously, if Oklahoma were to win that one again, I don't know how they wouldn't be, even though they don't play a lot of ranked teams. Texas are only ranked one. I don't know. It doesn't look like TCU is going to be ranked. Central Florida and BYU is not going to be ranked. Kansas is still ranked, so I guess they'll play Kansas. I don't know if West Virginia will be ranked. They only have one loss right now, undefeated in Big 12 play. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of teams undefeated still, and a lot of teams with paths. But what a game it was, and we'll see if these two teams meet up again. Arlington, first weekend in December for the Big 12 championship. We got some good football games going on this week. I believe it's week 7. A couple games not even ranked first ranked, man. We have 4 ranked first ranked, but you have 2 big ones that aren't. You got Arkansas at Alabama, and Arkansas has the toughest schedule in the country, and they've been playing decent football. They played LSU close, played Ole Miss close. A few things go wrong for them against A&M, so they've lost 3 in a row. Now I got to go play at Alabama, and then you got Texas A&M coming off the loss against Alabama. They got to go to Tennessee. So that's 2 big games where it's not even ranked versus ranked. The 4 ranked first ranked games, you got number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. Washington favored by 3, Jimmy, and Oregon's defense is they've only allowed 12 points in their 2 conference games. Of course, we know about Washington's offense, Michael Penix. This is going to be a great matchup of styles. Washington's offense, Oregon's defense. Plus, Oregon's got a little offense themselves, some Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be one of those measuring stick games,
Yes.
Trey. For that Oregon defense, Michael Penix is 2,000 yards passing with 16 touchdowns, only 2 picks. And like you said, Oregon's defense is only allowing 102 yards on the ground, 153 through the air, so about 256 total. Washington offensively averaging 570. Measuring stick game because we'll get to see how good Oregon's defense is. Wouldn't surprise me if Washington comes out and Michael Penix and they kind of carve them up.
It's a big
Get the
game.
pressure back on Bo Nix.
Yep.
It's in Washington.
It is.
So,
It's gonna be a big one.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this one.
2:30. That's
And
one
it's
of the
early.
early.
It's not a late Pac-12 game.
I know.
It's 2:30.
I'm
I
probably
love it.
most excited for that one. 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got number 10 USC at number 21 Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off the huge loss at Louisville. Notre Dame's lost 2 of the last 3, been in 3 dogfights. USC is somehow still undefeated, but their defense looks terrible. Number 10 USC at number 21 Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored by 2.5 right now. My biggest question: can you trust that USC defense? And Notre Dame's hungry for a win after dropping that one to Louisville.
Yeah, that's again, that's a big game for both clubs. Like you said, Notre Dame's trying to end the losing streak. USC's trying to stay undefeated and keep in the playoff hunt. And if you're Caleb Williams, you need a big game to help, solidify your Heisman candidacy to try to win it two in a row, be the first since Archie Griffin. So I expect this to be a really good game as well. I think USC's defense, no surprise. I mean, they only beat Arizona by 7, 48-41. I'm like, they should have rolled over Arizona. But again,
Arizona's spicy.
Yeah, USC is going to get everyone's A game, and they're going to get Notre Dame's A game. And it's another one that I'm kind of going. I can see it go either way. That's the great thing about a lot of these ranked versus ranked is you can kind of just see it going either way.
Yeah. I think I don't have this as a pick. I might on Coffee with Creta. We'll see how the line goes throughout the week. But that USC defense, I don't know how you can trust them. This might be a spot for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame at home to get USC. We'll see. Number 25, Miami at 12, North Carolina. North Carolina favored by 3.5. Did you see the Miami debacle, how they lost to Georgia Tech? So, Jimmy, they didn't take a
Yes.
knee.
Oh my goodness. Why do you run that? Why do you run that?
I don't know.
Dude,
There's 50 seconds or 45
the
seconds.
worst thing that could happen happened.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Just take a knee and you win the game. They ran it, fumble, next play, Hail Mary player, receiver gets behind the defense, touchdown Georgia Tech to beat Miami. This could have been both teams undefeated. And now Miami coming on. Where's Miami's confidence at after that loss?
Yeah, you're right. I have no idea. I know oh man, dude, I could not believe that. I do not know why you don't just take a knee.
I don't either. And North Carolina quietly having a pretty good season. I predicted that on Coffee Crew last. They're going to blow out Syracuse. They did. It's like 40-7. North Carolina, the quiet. Drake May's playing some ball. They had a close one against Appalachian State, but North Carolina's been playing some ball. Miami, I don't know where their confidence is at after you just blow that.
Yeah, you've got to come back if you're Miami. You got to come back and do something big and get you got to try to right the ship, man. That's what a terrible way to lose.
Terrible way to lose. And apparently that's the second time Mario Cristobal team has lost a game like that. They did it at Oregon. He lost a game where he refused to take a knee. They fumbled just like that and give a touchdown next play. Last ranked first ranked game is number 18 UCLA at number 15 Oregon State. Oregon State -4. This is going to remind me of a UFC fight. Just 3 rounds, 4 quarter rounds of just a fight to the death. These two teams both play great defense. The Pac-12 is starting to chew each other up. They've already got one loss apiece on the road. I mean, this is just going to be a rock fight. Whoever the toughest team is wins. Both teams have really good defenses, especially UCLA. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a football game. And this one's a late game UCLA, number 18 UCLA at number 15 Oregon State.
Yep. And this is another game that I think Oregon State and DJ, I can't I was really going to try to pronounce it, but yeah, ukulele. We know what they can do on offense. UCLA, like you said, pretty tough defense. Another measuring stick game for this UCLA defense because ukulele and Oregon State will run you over if you're not careful. So that's one that I'm excited to see as well. A lot of big games, a lot of them are Pac-12 games. So I'm glad some of them are earlier than your typical. Like this one that's a 7 p.m. game, so I can take that. But yeah, I mean UCLA, they hold Washington State to 17 points. Then of course we know they 14 Utah. They lose to Utah 14-7. Oregon State beats Utah 21-7.
Yeah.
And put up 52 on Cal. So
Oregon State's offense is starting to come together. They're starting to figure out exactly what DJ Ukulele can really do and what he's good at. And I mean, Oregon State at home, that place is a great home environment. Late at night, it's going to be a great home environment. UCLA is going with the true freshman quarterback. We'll see how he responds. I mean, it's going to be. I've seen Oregon State at home on some of these late night games, and that crowd is rocking and they are loud.
Dallas, man.
Yeah, it is good. Corvallis, dude. It is. I'd love to go watch a game there, a night game. It would be a great time because they get
Yeah,
after it.
Risers Field or Reesers, I don't know how you say it.
I think it's
Phenomenal
right. Yeah,
potato salad.
risers.
Phenomenal potato salad, my personal favorite. Um, so just throwing
Nice.
that out there. They play on Risers Field, so
All right. Well, it's gonna be got a great weekend of college football games again. Got some big time shake out a little bit. We got one top 10 matchup, Oregon and Washington. So people are gonna start losing. They're gonna start whittling its way out because this would be a great year to have a 12-team playoff. I mean, there's legitimately 12 to 15 teams that I think could have a chance. Although Georgia, they basically turned it up a notch. They said, all right, we're tired of screwing around. Everybody's talking about how good Kentucky's been. We're going to show you why we are the two-time defending national champs.
yeah,
And
they
they just
listened to the
rolled them.
show and they said 14's not enough.
Yeah, they just rolled them. 51-17 or something. So
Yeah.
Georgia's legit. I mean, they got it. They got that club in their back. Whenever they want to pull out that driver and hit it 400, they can do it. That's just Georgia. Benefit of the doubt, they get it back because they're a two-time defending champ, and they just showed that they can do it. All right, let's go to our next segment, our questions of the week. Get your questions in. You can email us at gridirongrindsports@gmail.com. Visit our website, gridirongrindsports.com. Comment on the YouTube videos, DM us Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts. Hit us up, get your question in, and we'll get to the best. We'll choose the best ones and answer on the show every week. Shockingly, a lot of people chirping me, getting me up for that Texas OU game and how bad I missed on this one. So both questions relate to that. First one's Jimmy. We'll get to Jimmy. This one is from Rusty from Allen, Texas. DM'd us on Twitter. Do you guys think Texas plays Oklahoma again in the Big 12 championship? And what are the chances both teams make the college football playoff?
Okay. Well, off the top of my head, yeah, because I think they're the two best teams in the Big 12. So, yeah, I think chances are very high that they play one another. The second time, and you love it if you're second time, let's say Texas wins.
Yeah, the only way it could happen is if Texas, they both got in the playoff. You'd have to have a Michigan, Ohio State scenario, and you'd have
to. And I don't think it'll happen. I don't think they'll both get in.
Yeah.
Here's what I was about to say. Let's say Texas, and the only way this kind of makes sense is if Texas beats them now. Texas beats them. I think Texas, depending on what happens above them, I think Texas and the rest of the season, again, after a game like this, you got to hope the wheels don't fall off. And this isn't just Texas. This is any team that had national title hopes and really had a lot of high expectations. When you have a loss that kind of comes out of nowhere and punches you in the gut, you got to keep it together. And as long as the wheels don't fall off, I think Texas can win the Big 12 championship. I think Oklahoma's good enough to win out as well. Now they have some trap games. They've got UCF next week. They're bye this week. UCF at home. They go to Kansas, to Oklahoma State. So there's Bedlam. West Virginia at home. They go to BYU and they finish at home against TCU. I think if OU wins out and Texas wins out, then I think both of them be in the Big 12 championship, and I think Texas will win. Texas, I mean, they have Houston away, home against BYU, home against K-State, away against TCU, away at Iowa State, finish home against Tech. Texas beats Oklahoma. I think that'll knock Oklahoma out of the playoffs. People will be up in arms because, well, Oklahoma beat them at first, but as we've seen, a lot of times this stuff doesn't make sense. It's what have you done for me lately, not back then.
If that were to happen, they'd both be 12-1. Let's say Oklahoma and Texas both went out, and Texas wins in the Big 12 championship. They'd both be 12-1, but the difference would be they would both have a win over each other on neutral sites. Okay, so they cancel each other out. But I think it also depends on what Alabama does. If Alabama wins out, goes to the SEC championship, and depending on what they do against Georgia, Texas has that win on their belt. Oklahoma doesn't have a win like that. They would have a win. Well, we have a win over Texas, who was number 3. Yeah, but if we're in this scenario, if Texas comes back and wins the Big 12 championship, Texas like, well, yeah, we have that same win as well. We avenged our earlier loss. Plus, we have a top 5 road win at Tuscaloosa. By the way, they just played in the SEC championship. So, yeah, I think if it comes down to it, Texas OU play and Texas beats them, Texas would get in. This is not the year I don't think there's enough room. Maybe last year they could have got both in if they were this 2 teams last year. The problem this year is I don't know if there's enough room because you're looking at Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. One of those teams is going to be undefeated because they're still doing divisions. So there's no rematch. So if Michigan or Ohio State beat Penn State and beat the other one and then win the Big Ten, whoever wins is going to win the Big Ten because the other division, the Big Ten, is terrible. So you're going to have one of those teams will be undefeated. And then most likely you're going to have Georgia undefeated in the SEC. That's 2 undefeateds. You're looking like you're going to have a Florida State, North Carolina undefeated matchup in the ACC championship because they don't play in the regular season. And then you got whatever happens in the Pac-12, which who knows? It's a bloodbath out there. They might all have a loss. So then you could potentially have like a 1-loss Ohio State. I think Alabama in that scenario would be out if they lose to Georgia. They'd have 2 losses. You'd have the loser of North Carolina, Florida State would have a loss. Ohio State would have a loss. Couple of Pac-12 teams would have 1 loss, probably. And then the loser, and then if Texas were to beat Oklahoma, just a lot of competition, and I don't think Oklahoma has the resume. Now, again, if Oklahoma wins against Texas,
I think they're in.
They're in because they'd be undefeated, and I don't think there'll be 4 undefeated teams. Unless
I think if OU wins, they're in.
Yeah,
but I think if Texas comes back and beats them, that loss that late
Texas
in the season
would go over Oklahoma.
I think it'd be too much for Oklahoma to overcome. And all the things you're saying is what OU fans will say, or they'll go, well, it just doesn't make sense. And da-da-da. And it's like, you're right. It doesn't make sense. I agree. You're upset, and I would be upset too. But that's how it is. A loss.
Talk to Texas in 2008 when both teams had the same record, but Texas beat Oklahoma, but somehow Oklahoma got to go. It's not fair. That's how it goes. You know.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes.
A loss that late in the season is going to hurt. So
yeah, and that too. There's recency bias hurts, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel good that both teams will play for the Big 12 championship, and then the rest of it will work itself out. We'll see where we're at. Thanks for the question. That's Rusty from Allen, Texas, via Twitter.
I like it. I like it. The next one comes via Twitter as well. This one's to you, Creta.
Yeah.
It's from Brandon from Durant, Oklahoma. Creta, could you have been more wrong about the OU Texas game, Boomer Sooner?
Short answer, yeah.
Sure.
I could have been more wrong. I was definitely wrong. If you watch Coffee with Creta, the gridiron grind, I was confident last week, but Coffee with Creta was very confident. Texas was going to win that game. My prediction was 38-24. I thought Texas would win by 2 scores because ultimately I thought Texas had the advantage on the line of scrimmage. And even with the rhythms of a rivalry game and the back and forth nature, I thought eventually things would settle down in the second half and Texas would be in control and would ultimately win that game and be able to lean on Oklahoma a little bit. Unfortunately, Texas did not have the advantage line of scrimmage. Oklahoma had the advantage on both sides. Now, Texas was banged up on the offensive line a little bit. Either way, Oklahoma outplayed them, both sides. I also was wrong because I said the way Oklahoma could win that game is by throwing it deep on Texas. They didn't throw it deep on Texas. They hit one deep shot. They only tried like one, and they hit it. The rest of the time, it was Dylan Gabriel running, and it was Dylan Gabriel hitting him underneath. But the Texas defense, as legit as they have looked against every other team, they looked confused, lost, unprepared for Oklahoma. I don't know how else to put it. They were unprepared for Oklahoma. At least that's how it looked. So I'm sure I could have been more wrong, but I was definitely wrong. Hats off, Oklahoma. Better football team last Saturday. And they deserved to win, and they won.
And wrong is kind of like, I don't know, I guess there are varying levels of right and wrong. I guess the only way you could be more wrong is if it was just like 48-0 complete domination by Oklahoma, and you go,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought this
Well,
Texas
I
team
mean,
could complete a forward pass,
it's
But
true.
so yeah,
I mean,
I mean, and then
there's also
he's super right.
I've watched every Texas game, and that might have been the worst game Texas had played collectively. Three
Yeah.
turnovers. They had one turnover on offense the entire season. They turned it over 3 times. So they hadn't done that. Which, I mean, you can say, well, Oklahoma forced them. They forced 2 of them for sure. The first one was just a terrible decision by Ewers. The last
Mm-hmm.
2 were big hits. They cost them. Okay. But Texas hadn't been turning the ball over like that. The injury bug caught up with them. And the defense looked lost and unprepared.
Yep.
So I think that was the worst game Texas had played of the 6. And they lost by 4. And they had the lead with 1:12 to go. Oklahoma marched down and scored a touchdown to win the game. So I don't know. Sooner fans can feel great about it, as they should. They won. But if Texas doesn't play their worst game come December, I think it'll be a different result. I think some adjustments will be made. I still believe top down, top to bottom, Texas is a better team. And if they both played their best game, I feel good Texas would win that game. But that's not what happened Saturday. Saturday, Oklahoma played very good. Texas made a lot of mistakes, and they lost. So
I tell you, I hope we get to see a rematch. I hope the
I do too.
wheels don't fall off for either team, and because I believe they're the 2 best teams in the Big 12, and I think I predict they both win out,
I do
and
too.
we get to see a rematch.
I just
At least
think
that's what I hope.
they're both of them are so much better than everyone else in the Big 12.
Yeah,
I feel good about. I could be completely wrong, but I feel great about that prediction that it's going to be OU and Texas in the Big 12 championship. So
love it.
thanks for the question. That's Brandon from Durant, Oklahoma, via Twitter. Again, get your questions in. GridironGrindSports at gmail.com. Hit us up, GridIronSports.com. Comment on the YouTube, DM us, Twitter, Instagram. Let's get to our favorite segment, Bets of the Week, Week 7 bets. And last week, I had a winning week at 2-1. Jimmy 1-3. We both had a tie. On the season, we got to get it going. I'm 11-12, game under 500. Jimmy 13-16. So I think Jimmy's got 4 this week. I got 3. I'll let Jimmy start it. What's your bets, Jimmy?
First one right out of the gate: Tulane, Memphis over 56.
I thought about this when this was my short list. Great bet.
I like Tulane, Memphis over 56. Both teams can score. Weather's supposed to be good. It's Friday game. That's important to note. It is Friday game, but both teams putting up. Memphis over 400 yards of offense. Tulane right below 400. Both teams giving up. Memphis giving up 360. Tulane giving up 321. So I'm like, okay, offenses can be successful on these defenses. So why can't they be successful on each other? Give me Tulane, Memphis over 56.
I like that one. My first one's a 2:30 game. It's Maryland hosting Illinois. Maryland minus 14. Give me the points. Give me the Terps. I'll lay the points with the Terps. Maryland minus 14. They had a tough loss last week against a very good Ohio State team. It was competitive. It was a 17-point game. Maryland covered. Ohio State's really good. Outside of that game, Maryland's been tearing it up. Tua's little brother, he can sling it. They've been putting it to some teams. They're 5-1. Illinois has been uncompetitive in their 4 losses. Illinois, they're terrible, especially on the road. I like Maryland to bounce back. I know 14 is a big number, but I think Maryland takes care of business pretty easily. Give me Maryland at home minus 14 against Illinois.
I have that exact same bet for the exact same reasons. I think Maryland
Nice.
showed they're a good team offensively. They've shown that all year. They cover against Ohio State. Illinois is not as good as they were last year. And I think Maryland's going to come out on a mission. Give me Maryland minus 14 as well.
Great bet. Then I got 2 night games. Wyoming at Air Force. Wyoming plus 10.5. Wyoming 5-1. They upset Tech to start the season. And then week 3, they were tied with Texas entering the 4th quarter before Texas decided to show up and scored 21 unanswered. But Wyoming's a very good football team. They just had a top 25 upset over Fresno State last week. Wyoming can play some football. And a conference game, giving them 10.5, that's too many points. Air Force is really good. They've been beating the snot out of people, but they haven't played anybody to the caliber and toughness of Wyoming. I think the Cowboys, the Pokes of Wyoming, hang in this one, and just 10.5 is too many points, especially it's the top two teams in the Mountain West. So give me the Wyoming Cowboys on the road plus 10.5.
I like it. I actually only have 3 this week.
Oh, okay.
I've got 3, and this is it. Marshall at Georgia State. Give me Georgia State -1. Georgia State at home. It's going to be rocking. Georgia State, really good football team. I think they can cover.
Two really good teams.
I like this. They play good defense. They can score offensive. They can get out on you and get out on you 2-3 scores, and it's over after that.
Is that Clay Helton? Is he the head coach at Georgia State or Georgia Southern? I always get confused.
Think Southern.
Okay. Yeah, it's Southern. It's Georgia Southern. Anyway, that'll be a great game. Marshall's really good. Georgia State's pretty good. Sun Belt contest. Got to go to the home team to safe bet there. My last one, 6:30 night game. Miami at North Carolina. I like the over 57 points. This is still in the 50s. You got to jump on this. I think this is 2 really good quarterbacks. In North Carolina, Drake May. Miami has Tyler Van Dyke. I think Miami might have been overlooking a little bit for North Carolina because this was supposed to be a battle of 2 undefeated teams. Miami screwed that up last week against Georgia Tech. Both these teams can score. Both these teams, well, Miami in particular has given up some points. I think both quarterbacks will be on showcase their talents, full display. A lot of scouts to see this game. A lot of NFL teams need quarterbacks. I think this has the makings of a back and forth, high octane offense contest between Drake May and Tyler Van Dyke. I think 57 is, you got to take that. Give me Miami, North Carolina over 57.
I like that. Like you said, everybody needs quarterbacks, and Sam Howell starting in the league somehow.
Yeah.
Hope he stays starting.
Yeah.
For
the Cowboys
2 games.
All right. Here's our.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. 6 short, clean, tight picks. Have a winning week. Here's our Gridiron Grind recap. Jimmy starts you off on Friday night. He's got Tulane, Memphis over 56. He's got Maryland -14, Georgia State -1. Myself, 3 Saturday bets. I have Maryland -14, Wyoming plus 10.5, and Miami at North Carolina over 57. That's our bets. That's our show. Jimmy, another one in the books. Going to be a great Saturday.
I like it. Let's get back to winning.
Get back to winning. Get our bets in. Check us out. YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We have a Cowboys NFL show on Thursday. So check us out. GrindSports.com. Everything we got going on. See you guys for the Cowboys show on Thursday and the next college show next week. See you.
Go hard.